What's going on YouTube? Roast Pipes here. We're here to finally get started on actually doing our budget build pipe. Now you'll notice I'm set up in my lathe setup. Reason for that was I have a lot of stuff going on and I ended up leaving some work in my drill press. But it's gonna be exactly the same. The only difference is my headstock's gonna move the material and the drilling apparatus is not gonna move. First on drill press, this moves, this doesn't move. Just pretend we're vertical. That's the only difference. Yeah, so you're gonna have it all here to show you. Here's your vise. You would have bought one of these. You're gonna lock your material in here, right? Whichever way we're gonna drill. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna do the shank. I do shank first, just out of habit. I've seen some guys do the bowl first, but again, out of habit because, excuse me, I run on a lathe normally. So I have more material to bite. So I was gonna do it the opposite way, but it just is a little weird. So yeah, so what we're gonna do is you're gonna get your material in your vise. So you're gonna get in your vise, and you're gonna wanna get it so it's 90 degrees. So this is one of those tools we forgot to get, but most people will have one, which is a level of some small, short size. So I have this cute little level. It's only a 2-inch level. I think it was like $3. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna level, and what you wanna make sure is your shank, Jesus. You're gonna make sure your shank, when it's in your vise, is 90 degrees, right? You wanna make sure it's 90. That way the bevel is right in the middle. And you're on the other side. That way you know it's not leaning any which way and it's totally parallel. Levels don't lie for the most part. And then what you're gonna wanna do is, once that's locked in, depending on the drill press you got, if you get a fancier one, like I said, you can if you want. This is a budget build, so try to keep it as cheap as possible. The actual table that you drill on, it should be able to swivel left or right, full circle, 180. So you can leave it locked in. And then what you want to do is you want to take your Forstner bit that I got you guys to get, because your Forstner bit has this really nice tip on it. And if you've been following along, we've already centered our blocks. So we know that's center right there. And it's centered on top. So what you'll do is you'll put your material, you'll put your Forstner bit in your chuck. You'll lock it in. Try and move as fast as I can here. I don't know how much time I'll have with my phone. Get it in there. And then what you're gonna do, I love my key. Use my other lathe's key. You're gonna lock your material, you're gonna lock it in. Then what you're going to do is you're going to make sure it lines up. And that's the beauty of the tabletop on your drill presses, is they can swivel and move, so you can be like, it goes right there. What we're going to do is we're going to face the end of our block right away. That way everything to that tip and point is going to be totally centered, lined up. There's no left or right. You're not going to have to file and make sure it's perfect. It's perfect right there. So you would turn this on, I'm turning this on, it's the only difference. You're just gonna go until it's all touched. Not very much, that's literally all we're gonna do. So now, everything to that hole in the middle you can see there is totally centered to that. Now here comes the big secret to our budget build. Now by now, you should have had everything picked out and bought. And like I said, I'm going to go with a 1/4 bowl, so 7/8 shank, because it looks nice. And what you're going to do is you're going to set it up. So this is what I was talking about. This is your saw hole. And then this is the tool that actually goes into it to make it usable. And then it can be the drill bit in it as well. And it gets locked in by the screw. That's the trick. So everything to that hole is centered. And now what you're also going to do, you're going to want to mark. So I have just under 2 inches shank here. So I mark how long do I want my shank. So I already knew. Like I said, I've done all this. I'm ready. I'm fairly prepared because I know I only have so much recording time. So I know I want it to be about an inch and 3/4, somewhere in there. I want it to look nice with the bowl proportions and everything. I'm being a bit of a nerd here. So what you do is you mark how far you want it on here. So this green tape, you can see right there. I'm only going to go as far as the end of the green tape on this side. Once I get to there, I'm going to literally run into the side of my bowl chamber, which we don't want to do. You want to stop right before it, because then if the closer you can get and the tighter you can get, the less shaping you have to do too, which is a big thing to consider. Now, this is super important. We have our nail, our drill bit in there. Watch what we're going to do. We're going to go in just till the saw hole starts to touch. That way you have an intricate spot where it actually bit, and we're going to stop, and we're going to take out the drill bit and then just go at it with just the saw top, because it's already got the pilot hole going for it, and plus this is the wrong diameter drill bit. So when we come in after for our tenon cutting, we're actually going to open it up and make it the right size, but you don't want to give it too much depth that you have to put on an extra long tenon, which will make this a pain in the butt. So just like that. I went in, drilled it just a little bit, just till the saw hole touched. And now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take out the drill bit. That's it. And now you're going to drill to that line and check mark you made. So for me, like I said, to the end of the green tape is where I'm going. Oh shit. Take your time with it. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of back and forth movements. Work with the wood, not against it like I just did, like an amateur. So this is going to give you an absolutely perfect cylindrical shank. I'm going to stop right there at my marker. A little sketchy. So now you can see I have a total shank in there. So now we're done with this. That's it. You're all done. Nice and hot. Be careful. So now what we're going to do is we're going to drill our air hole. So your 5/32 drill bit. So on your block, you would have put lines for this where my bowl is going to go, and this where my shank's going to go. Right in the middle is your chamber. So what you do is you just literally just line up this drill bit with where those two intersect, and then you mark it with your eye that it's right there. And then what I do, other guys use tape, I just do this. So I grab it right where it is, and I stick it in my drilling tool, lock it in, and then I will drill to that point on the drill bit, and I know it's right there or a little bit further, but again, your chamber's going to come down and catch it anyway. It. So the draft hole is drilled. You're not going to know if you're perfect in depth and in length and everything until we do the chamber, because then you're going to make sure there's air running through it. I don't know if I told you guys to buy one of these. I can't remember, but a countersink hole. The reason you do this is because we're going to be working with a tenon cutter. You're not going to have a totally flush tenon to wall of your stem, so you're actually going to have like a mild little like lip. So all you do doing this out of order. We need to cut the tenon first. Jeepers crow. So on your drill bit, you're gonna mark with a marker, like I did, 1/2 inch from the drill bit tip to the end. That's how long you want your tenon. It's just 1/2 inch. That's what we're gonna go with. I do this so often I forget there's some things like I have to explain because it just, to me, it just is what it is. It seems cocky to be like that, but it's kind of true. So then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna countersink it just ever so slightly. Like that. It's a little rough. It's alright. And that's your shank. Shank's done. So now, what you would do is you would just take your material out of the vise, right? I mean, there's an extra step here. These fancy ass screws. This part's actually really easy. There's not as many pieces to this puzzle on this side. So you take material out, go, yeah, it looks cool. Done. So now you're gonna do is you're gonna take it, you're gonna simply spin it, lock it in your center lineage. What you can do, which is kind of cool, well, no, don't even do it. Lock your material in, same as you would. Line up your lines. Make sure it's all leveled and perfect. Like that. And then what you're going to do, Forstner bit. Make sure it's all lined up. Crank it in. It's just the extra step that the lathe has. It's just the way it is. That's it. So now, we don't need to Forstner bit the top. Well, you know what? We will, just because it's going to give us a good center. So, turn it on. You don't gotta do it as much because you just want to give yourself that nice pilot hole for when we lock in our big honkin' drill bit. So now this is the one. If you're doing this with me, exactly what I'm doing, we did the 7/8 shank. So now we're gonna go with 1 3/4 inch. So it's all the same. I lost my other nut, so I only have one nut for my entire apparatus, which is annoying. So you put that in there. Fat fingers. Take your drilling material, put it in the hole, lock it in. Did you guys ever watch Art Attack? I don't know wherever you people are, but I had that, and that's what I feel like I'm doing. It's kind of cool. Okay. So now, come in here, lock it in, mate. Make sure it's all lined up. Now, same thing. So, you know your shank, you know where your shank stops. You measured it. I can't help you with this part. I can just tell you how to do it. So I know my shank stops right there. Right there. My shank's generally about there. So, what that means is I don't want this guy to ram into that hole. What I want is an absolutely perfect, maybe like a 1/4 inch section where there's nothing touched, because then we're going to go back and we're going to refine that so it makes it look smooth and nice when you rusticate it. It's a cheating way around it. So you need to figure out how thick your walls are. So I know my walls are about that thick, generally speaking. So now I do is I measure the depth on that from the top of the chamber, and then I'm going to measure it onto this and then go, don't go past that point. Already did it. I got the black line. You can see it there. So now, what I'm gonna do is I'm only gonna go so far with the little bit again. Again. So you can see the lines on that, eh? So this line's already started, and this has got a nice track on it. So that's why we can remove the bit, because it's not gonna bounce out of that track. I don't care what anybody tells you. It's not gonna fucking move. Pardon my French. All right. So. So, and the cool thing is, you can actually watch. So for me, if you can see that, remember I told you make sure your block is the perfect thickness for your saw hole? Well, that's because sometimes you get lucky like I just did, and you can actually watch your saw hole work. So you can see this here. So when I was standing off to the side, I was actually watching my saw hole come down and just kiss the line, and I knew it was that. So that's done. You have your chamber walls. So now all we do is we're gonna use, we haven't done this yet. I have to show you guys how to do this still. This is my chamber bit. We're gonna make one. So, bear with me. I'll do this video in like 5 minutes because of this now, and I feel stupid. So now, what you're gonna do is the same thing. You know where your lines meet. That's where you want the bottom of your chamber. So you're gonna take your bit, line it up there, put a mark on your bit. I use tape. I know where my bit's gonna end up every time. And this is the part that's totally up to you guys. You can go with whatever size bit you want. You can go with the 7/8 like I did because I like a bit more of tobacco. You can go with 3/4. It's good smoke too. So now what you do, you take your chamber hole, I hit it. Now this part is a bit more important if you do this as a profession, but it doesn't. You want to make sure that your draft hole comes in the very bottom of your chamber hole, but not too bottom, but not too high. It's hard to explain it. I can show you it, but it doesn't really matter. So my problem, I didn't tell you guys to buy this tool, but it doesn't matter. I'm doing this just the way it is. If you have a hand drill, my drill bit didn't go far enough. Still not far enough. It's a bit of a longer shank, right? So. Okay, and that's it. That's how you're gonna do this. And now what we're gonna do, the next video is we're gonna be cutting off all the pieces, cutting off this piece, and exposing the pipe you made that's inside this block now. Thanks for staying tuned. I'll add in a description of what we basically went over and how we did it. I'll try my best to write it all out, but if need be, just watch the video 4 or 5 times or message me. I'm not afraid to help you guys out if you guys are gonna do the video. Thanks.